Good morning, students. Welcome in our political science class. Today we will do chapter 3 of book 2, that is Politics of Planned Development. In our last class, we have studied how the leaders of independent India faced the challenge of nation building and establishing democracy. Now we will discuss the third challenge. That of economic development to ensure well-being of all. This challenge was a little bit difficult to achieve. We will discuss the story of political choice involved in some of the key questions of economic development. Then we will discuss what were the key choice and debates about development. Which strategy was adopted by our leaders in the first 2 decades and why? And then we will discuss what were the main achievements and limitations of this strategy. And at the last, we will discuss why was this development strategy abandoned in later years. Let's start the planned development. How planned development started. As the global demand for steel increases, Odisha, which has one of the largest reserve of untouched, untrapped iron ore in the country, is being seen as an important investment destination. The state government hopes to cash in on this unprecedented demand for iron ore and has signed memorandum of understanding with both international and domestic steel makers. The government believes that this would bring in necessary capital investment and provide a lot of employment opportunity in the state. The iron ore resources, like in some of the most independent, most underdeveloped and predominantly tribal district of the state. The tribal population fears that the setting up of the industries would mean displacement from their home and livelihood. The environmentalists of that time fear that mining and industry would pollute the environment. The central government feels that if the industry is not allowed, it would set a bad example and discourage investment in the country. So, it was a very crucial situation because memorandum has been signed by state government and the tribal people were not happy. They posed their resentment. So, central government as well as state government both were worried because it will go against the development of the state. To identify what are the key points of conflict, can this issue be resolved in a way which satisfy all the various interests? So, we will see all the answers one by one. These questions cannot be answered easily by an expert because the decision of this kind involve the interest of one social group against another, present generation against future generation. In a democracy, such major decisions should be taken by the approval of people, and it is important to take advice from expert of mining and from the environmentalist and from economist also. Yet the final decision must be a political decision taken by people's representatives who are in touch with the feelings of the people. So, the people's desire, the people's wish is supreme. After independence, our country had to make a series of major decisions, like each of these decisions could not be made independent or other such decisions. All these decisions were bound together by a shared vision or model of economic development. Almost everyone agreed that the development of India should mean both economic growth and social and economic justice. It was also agreed that this matter cannot be left to businessmen or industrialists and farmers themselves. That government should play a key role in this. So everyone was agreed that government should a key player of this role. Now the question is, was it necessary to have a centralized institution to plan for entire country, and should the government itself run some key industry and businesses? How much importance was to be attached to the needs of justice if it is differed from the requirements of economic growth? Each of these questions involved contestation which was continued over a long time. Each of the decisions had political consequences. Most of these issues involved political judgment and required consultations among political parties and also approval of the public. That is why we need to study the process of development as a part of the history of politics in India. Let us discuss what was the idea of development. The example of Odisha shows us that it is not enough to say that everyone wants development. For development has different meaning for different section of the people. Development would mean different things. For example, to an industrialist who is planning to set up a steel plant, to an urban consumer of steel, and to the Adivasi who lives in that region, thus any discussion on development is become to generate contradiction, conflict, and debates. Once development is maybe for others it is destruction. So everyone has different idea of development. The first decade after independence saw a lot of debate around these questions. It was common, as it is even now, for people to refer to the West as the standard for measuring development. Development was about becoming more modern, and modern was about becoming more like the industrialized countries of the West. This is how common people as well as the expert thought. It was believed that even country would go through the process of modernization as in the West. Modernization was also associated with the idea of growth, material progress, and scientific rationality. This kind of idea of development allowed everyone to talk about different countries as developed, developing, or underdeveloped country. On the eve of independence, India had before it two models of modern development: the liberal capitalist model, as in much of Europe and the US, and the socialist model, as in the USSR. You have already know about this, about these two ideologies, because you have read in first chapter, that is Cold War. There were many people in India who were deeply impressed by the Soviet model of development. These include not just the leaders of the Communist Party of India, but also those of the Socialist Party, leaders like Nehru within the Congress. These were very few supporters of the there were very few supporters of the American style capitalist development. So we have taken a glimpse of society at the time of just after independence, in which we have to plan for the development of our country. So enough for today. In my next video we will discuss about the planning. Till then, bye.